Hello, welcome. I'm realizing we just got to be one after, and there might be a couple people trickling in, but I can introduce myself in case you haven't met me, which I think most of you here already have met me in some capacity or not. I am Justin Sorb. I'm a former professor of chemistry. I've worked at a couple different schools through the country, and then I moved into working full time with LibreTexts this past year, heading up the LibreTexts Academy, which I've got up here, which is a professional development arm, and I've worked with LibreTexts for the last 10 years or 12 years, and a lot of the stuff that we've done through the construction guide and some of the things you're going to see today, I've been working with this group for a long time. So I'm excited to share it with everyone today. As I start this, I'm going to bring up this next slide. My assumption is that you do have an instructor verified account on LibreTexts and a book that you're already working on or can edit or take a look at. If you do have an instructor verified account but don't have a book, just put your email address in the chat and Jennifer can add you to the book that I'll be working on. Or if you just want to be added to my little template book, just for your own records, go ahead and throw your email address in the chat. And you got that one, Jennifer, I'm assuming. So you don't need it right away. I'm going to talk about a couple things first while that gets done in the background. And the main thing I want to start off with is our construction guide, which is why it's highlighted. I know it's not in the top of the list, but I wanted to kind of go a little out of order just to get some of like the introductory stuff out of the way in the beginning. We're going to go over a lot of different aspects of editing, how things work, and we're going to do some actual editing and show you some tools that are basically not the kinds of things you've used elsewhere. So I'm not going to teach you how to make things bold or italics or those sorts of things, but I'm going to show you some things that are unique to LibreTexts and things to watch out for, and then the cool features that you can use. Great. So construction guide, if you've got your LibreTexts, you can go to that launch pad up in the upper left-hand corner, and you can go to your conductor. If you're in your conductor, you'll see this big, huge green conductor project. If you don't have a book, that's where you can create one. There's nothing wrong with just creating a test book. If you or your colleagues want to share a book and just learn how to do these editing things on your own before you go off and actually start building something, those are not public until you try to, or you ask us to publish them for you. So you don't have to worry about other people stumbling across them with your name on it and feeling embarrassed. Feel free to create a construction project. If you're an OER librarian, for instance, you might want to just have one that you add people to just like show some basic tools, or that you can play around with your content and different features and make sure everyone has some resource there. I already did that earlier today, made a brand new book so we can take a look at it together. And when you do create that book, you'll get or when you go in there, then you can create a book, and then you can access all the different tools in Conductor, which basically like lets you know managing your teams, who can talk to each other, writing tasks. We had to kind of talk about that yesterday, so I'm not going to go into it. The recording will be up soon. But the main thing is you can control who has editing access. So if you have someone that you're working with that does not have editing access, this is where you change that. And this is also where you get to the OER remixer, where you can add new pages. So if you need to start from that point, that's where you're going to start to write and edit a book. So, and we talked about the remixer yesterday, so I'm not going to go over that much today, but just giving some context if you weren't there yesterday. The Academy, which is what I mentioned earlier, does have a link directly to this construction guide, which is our kind of our user manual for the LibreTexts world. And also, if you create that new project, you're going to get this automated message, which has a link to the construction guide in the project conductor as well. It's highlighted in red there. So you can get to that and start editing things right away and learning how to edit it. The construction guide has a lot of different chapters. Some of the chapters in there on commons and conductor and things like that, which are all useful. But the main ones that you'll probably want to look at are the basic editing, the advanced editing, and page settings. and interactive elements. So those 4 things there are really about the editing of a textbook, which if you want to see in the there, it's chapters 8 through 11. Give you a lot of information on how to do those basic things. How do you insert the images? How do you resize images? How to do alt text and things like that. And just a little plug, in January, we went over the first couple chapters up at the top. We skipped over pedagogy, but if you ever want to learn about pedagogy of how to design textbooks, that's up there. In February 21st, that webinar is already online on getting started in remixing, so you can go back and look at that. And then this coming month, in March 21st, we have a webinar that's going to do remixing again and basic editing. So kind of this again, but in maybe a little bit different version and to a different audience. So when you're looking at LibreTexts, we have published books and unpublished books. I'm just giving you this so you can see if you have a book that people can see. You can look at the page restrictions, which is public or semi-private. And the big one is if you get a bunch of rainbow buttons, then it's probably public because it means it's been published. If you have only a PDF button in the corner, or possibly if it's your book, you'll have a PDF thing plus a conductor project button there on your unpublished books, things you're writing but no one else can see without permissions. And there's a lot of things that only occur, like our course catalog or catalog of the books does not show up until you get that book published. All right, so that just gives you a little context, how to get to things, how to figure out who can edit what. And then now we want to talk about how to edit your table of contents and adding new pages. So this is done through that remixer. And I'm just pointing out a couple of things. Up here, you have the copy and fork options, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And basically copying will just take a book and you can't edit anything. It just moves over. If it's forked, then you get your own copy of it and then you can edit it. We also have an auto number. So you can see I've been adding things in. These green ones are brand new, but they all have the right numbering, and then things get renumbered. And you can click on the plus sign to add new pages. So a lot of, if you've worked with us in the past, there used to be a new page button at the top of the bar. When you're editing a page, you can just add a new page right after that. That messed up the structure too much. So everything has to be done through the remixer for adding new pages and changing those. If you're on a page and you see that little fork option, the little squiggly that's right next to the title, that means that this book is actually transcluded from the other place. That means that content can't be edited by you. You've just taken a live kind of teleporter of the book that's there, and you get to see whatever changes are made to that book. And at the bottom of the page, you'll see this little copyright or license, really. This book is this license, authored and curated by OpenStax, and you can go click there to go look at the source content. And that's all there at the very bottom of every single page, so you know what that data looks like. If you try to edit this page in your book, you'll get this little box here that says this is transcluded content, and here's a link to where that textbook is. If you did take content from another one of your books and put it over there, you can go click on that link, go over there and edit it. But typically you're taking it from a source content that's not yours, so then you can't edit it when you go look at it. So that's what it'll look like if you can't edit. However, if you can edit it, then it's yours. You might have forked it over from another book. Then you don't have that little icon at the top, and you have whatever license that you're using for your book at the bottom, kind of from wherever you got it pasted through. And I actually copied that twice. So when you want to edit books, there's a couple different things. I'm going to go with the most rudimentary editing first, which is I'm going to copy some material, a paragraph or a picture from somewhere else on LibreTexts, stick it into my page. And you need to worry about licensing. This is where LibreTexts really can help you out, because we don't do licensing on a book-by-book basis. You don't copy a whole chapter every single time. Frequently, you just want to take some text or a subsection that somebody else has that you really like. And we do our licensing section, paragraph by paragraph. So you can actually take a page from one other page or some paragraph that you like in another page and copy it into your page, and that will carry the licensing from the other one. You click on that edit button at the top, you can see the source material here. So this is after I've copied that paragraph over. Now you see at the bottom, here is the original page, transcluding. It has this license, and now you can see there's actually two different licenses on this page. So the transcluding page originally has this license, and I copied from the hydrocarbons page. that one's from OpenStax and has this license. And you can click on that to get the original source in LibreTexts. And if you click on that toggle right there, you can actually see it'll highlight for you live on the page what paragraph and then what the license is for that paragraph if it's different than the page itself. So these are not highlighted here. That's the other ones there. I did want to point out, if you happen to be here before we started recording, you want to be able to click on that editing tab. If you can edit the book and copy the actual text that's inside the editor, and then copy that and paste it into your editor. So editor to editor, or you should be able to access the tools. Wait, where was it? Options. I might not have it in this one. But you want to look at, and you can also get it from like the page source, the actual HTML that, so you want to copy the HTML because we actually have it tagged in the HTML where that book comes from, so we can keep track of that that license throughout everything. So that's taking things from other places in LibreText and using them. We can remix page by page, or we can do paragraph by paragraph by copying edit window to edit window. And then you get into I call it auto numbering automagically. That's a colleague of mine a long time ago used automagically all the time to kind of coin these sorts of things. So what does that mean? It means we have little tags like this one where you can use this tag wherever you want to with whatever number you are. So if this was figure 1, you can reference that figure as at the bottom of figure this thing number 1, and then down here figure that thing. And then when you look at that on the page, it'll automatically use the numbering of your section and your chapter and your section, and then that. So this would show up as on the book itself. It'll look like that, but when you're not in the editing world, let me scroll down. So if you're not in the editing screen, where am I at? There we are. Get myself to figure. It'll show up as figure 20.1.5. So this one is figure 5. So the number sign there in the code would be the figure number, and that you would just keep track of yourself. Figure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't automatically number figures because sometimes you want the figure to be decorative. Sometimes you want it to be with a caption. But it'll add the 20.1 point in front of it. So then your pages are automatically keeping track of what your figure numbers are. That's a common issue if you have some text that you're copying from another book, but you're reordering the chapter numbers. The remixer doesn't work if it can't handle that auto numbering for you. And that's how we handle that, is with this little magical code, and that page index and the number can be used in the text. It can also be used for if you use one of our exercise boxes. So we have templates that you can add, and I'll show you where those are in a second. If you want to add an exercise with an interactive answer box, or if you want to have a table number, all those things do the same thing. You just type the word table, page index, and then whatever number that is. So this would be a 1, and this was also a 1. I use a lot of 1s as examples here. So that automagical numbering system works within our editing for all your pages. As long as you don't try to hard code anything, then you can move your pages around and you can change the order, and we'll take care of all of that numbering for you. So far, we'll automatically take care of your chapter numbering and section numbering with the remixer, and we'll automatically take care of your licensing for you on a paragraph by paragraph basis, and we'll also take care of numbering your figures and your references for tables and exercises and anything else you want numbered. In addition to that, we can incorporate some interactive materials and assessment into there. I'm just going to list off the ones that are there, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can get to the information for these. So the 3D molecule viewer, we have some viewers. We've got some CalcPlot 3D, and I'm going to show you where you can find those. You can embed your homework system questions from Adapt, so that you can embed those formatively if you just want to have questions that people get feedback and try a question multiple times. Anything that you can have in Adapt, you can embed that question right into the editor so students can get that feedback right away. Or you can also include your homework questions right into your textbook as well. So students could log in to Adapt, and then with their Adapt username and single sign-on, anything like that, and then do their homework right alongside the text questions. I definitely have seen people do things like reading comprehension assignments are just within the textbook. That way you force people to read, go to the page at least, and then access the questions that way. I need to change that from Jupyter Hub, but we also have ability to like encode little chunks of code. So if you wanted to have them do a histogram, or you want to have them calculate the average, the mean, and the median of a data set, and demonstrate that in your book, you can embed that code right in there. The students can edit it and rerun that code to go see how things are going, or you can obviously can link out to any of these things. We can embed H5P interactive things into our textbook from our studio, and we don't have antecedent writing currently embedded in there, but that's something we're thinking about how to build those. And all these services are all over here in the Launchpad. So you click that little Launchpad in the corner, you can access all those services. And in the construction guide, I have a link to it from the homepage, Academy, faculty resources, construction guide. I'll scroll down to the bottom. That's information about the adapt homework set. And here we are. Where are we at? Interactive elements. A lot of the information about how to include a lot of these are just inside the construction guide. Interactive figures, the different choices we have. I'll open that in a second. And then Jupyter notebooks. You can embed those with all those different options. We have interactive molecules, protein structures, H5P formative activities, dynamic figures with CalcPlot 3D, all of the, and then adding those homework problems from WebWork into LibreTexts. These are all documented inside that construction guide. You can click on those, go through, and they have little examples of the code. How to find questions, what the little box is going to look like when you click on it and add this little DecuScript thing. You can see this query, we'll get the page index right there. Everyone's using that, not everyone, we'll use that everywhere. You want numbering, and then you'll get something like this little box. That's an interactive H5P assignment. So those can be embedded in wherever you'd like. If you are in the book that I added you to, or if you'd like to be added to it right now, I think Elaine's the only one that asked for it. I actually just went ahead and copied over the advanced editing, basic editing, and interactive elements into this one, so I can take a look at them and edit them myself. Anyone have any questions so far? I've thrown a lot of things at you. All right. If you do, let me know, shoot in the questions, or we can wait till the end. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was evaluating the accessibility of your pages, and after you're editing them or while you're editing them, and our new AI co-authoring tool. So that page settings at the very top, I'm going to show you what it looks like on a live site. At the top is our page settings. This is where you would fill out the summary of the page. And you can set your license. This is your generic license for all the content that's on the page that's not taken from someone else, right? So if you transcluded this over or actually forked it over from another book, those paragraphs will still maintain the license that they came from. But whatever you put here, that's what all the new content you're going to add to your page is going to have the license of by default. And then you can have all the tags so that these can be tagged for metadata to be able to find easier. And all of this is kind of tedious, right? Like coming up with all the tags that you want for your page is a pain in the neck. Writing summaries is actually kind of difficult, but these are the kind of things that AI is really great at, because they're good at like looking at lots of text and, you know, interpreting a short summary or adding some meta tags as well. So these boxes are a pain in the neck to do for a whole book, but we do have a tool, which is what we call our AI co-author. And you can see here, it's in the conductor. You can click on the AI co-author. It can generate a summary what click of a button generates a summary, then obviously you can edit it. We wouldn't just make you just adopt whatever AI spits out. And you can have it generate a bunch of tags and then delete the ones you don't like or add ones that you'd like there. And I'm going to go demonstrate this one. So I'm looking at the book, that demo textbook. I'll click on the AI co-author. I get each of my chapters that we saw. So, right, we were just looking at something in organic chemistry. Here's each of the chapters of that textbook. And these are the ones that are already there. So these are ones that have already been written, but I could delete that and generate a summary. And then it gives me a generic summary that covers the material that's on that page. So that goes to the page, it sends that into AI, and then that AI will generate that. You can also generate tags here, and then you can add new tags or delete the ones that you don't like. And you can generate alt text for images on that page as well, which is another tedious authoring thing that you can go through. You can also do bulk actions if you just wanted to generate a bunch of summaries right off the bat, or like as a first pass, and then go through and edit them later, either through the page settings at the top or through this viewer here. Then you can go through and do that editing. We also have an accessibility checker, and it's accessed through the conductor as well with the accessibility option here. It can go through and give you your table of contents along with some basic accessibility things that you'd want to check. It doesn't say that if it says that it's wrong, it doesn't necessarily mean it's always wrong, meaning maybe if you go look at it, you're like, actually, this is an exception to this rule, but it'll give you a really good overview of what you've got, alt text, whether or not you've marked images as decorative or not, whether the links are empty, whether things can be tabbed between, hierarchy of the structure of the page. All those things can be checked for, and then you can kind of edit that textbook as you go to make sure things are looking good. Our engineer was just revamping this, so I'm going to double check what it might look like. Go back to my textbook, click on the accessibility, and then you can sync your textbook table of contents there. There's an error message right now, but that's how you would load it, and then you get all your sections, and then you get little check boxes for how things are working. I have a couple little like plugs, and then we'll just open up the floor for us to kind of play around with. You can ask me to do any of the things that I talked about, and we can just see how it works. But I wanted to mention that we have those free webinars that we have, and we do have a LibreFest that's in fall. LibreFest is in the summer, where there's like 3 to 4 days of intensive multi-hour long sessions where you can get some practice doing this with leadership and get into breakout rooms and kind of chat with other people. We do an Oktoberfest in the fall, which is like a 1-day crash course, which is kind of like what you are getting here. And then we do have some paid professional development options as well through the Academy with in-person or virtual workshops, cohort training if you want to get people together to work on a project, and other sorts of options. Go there, take a look at the whole list of them, and you can get through all of that. So with that, I wanted to open it up to, I made you guys all get accounts so you can edit things. If you have questions, we can do something, practice something, and work through things. Or any questions over what you saw first? Everyone's feeling super confident. They're like, yes, I can edit every page ever. One thing I didn't show, which I would like to show, which I think is pretty neat, is if you are looking at a textbook, some of these can get really long, and opening the editor at the top for all the books is kind of a pain, but you can actually edit section by section. So you can see that this edit window is just for alkanes. That's at the title. You can see this little pencil there. You can click that and it will just open the edit window for that section up until the next heading. And that makes the editor load faster often. It makes really just scrolling is a lot easier for navigating through things. Some other things I wanted to show. I'm glad that you like it, Ying. It's super exciting for us. When you're editing things, you get these nice little boxes. I'm just going to show you how to add those. If you see that little red thing pop up, this is a way to, if you've got, it's sometimes hard to get a new paragraph inside of images or inside of boxes. You see this little guy pop up and you want to put a new line here, you can click on that little guy and they'll give you a quadrature or give you the mouse. Let me just put it in a better spot. It can get you an insert a paragraph kind of a thing right there. Mine's flickering a lot, so I don't think it's working. I don't know why. But I'm going to go ahead and add an exercise. So we've got all these tools at the top. And we have this one called boxes, and boxes have a bunch of different pre-built things. So that query that you saw earlier for H5P, learning objectives box, I'm going to go ahead and put a exercise here. So it gives you an empty box with an exercise. And if I wanted to change this and say, oh, this is actually this is my 5th exercise on this page, then that's how it's going to look. What is the coolest discipline to study? Common question that we ask ourselves here at LibreTexts. And in case you were unaware, the answer is always chemistry. And if you click on save, yeah, block editor, exactly. So this gives you this little exercise box. And like you saw there before, there is no answer shown. You can click on the answer, have students click on the answer, and then they can get that. And you can put images behind there. You can put anything behind there. It's just a little reveal. If you do print this book, it'll print all the answers off. So it's not as interactive, obviously. But that's how you would add an exercise. And you notice that it automatically added the 20.1. And now this is exercise 5. And you can do the same thing for adding the learning objectives. I'll just go ahead and scroll up again. If I wanted to add underneath alkanes, another little sub box with objectives, it automatically adds in that formatting. We do like our books to look nice. And we do like to have things kind of systematic, especially when it gets to printing things or formatting PDFs. So that's my warning of, if you put in a lot of your own formatting and your own colors, we're just going to scrap all that when it comes to publishing time. And it will just slow everything down because we want our books to look nice and organized, especially when you start transcoding things from all over different libraries, different textbooks. If we try to use these templates everywhere so that things are looking really standard. We can add images. Trying to think if there's anything really cool. This is inserting an interactive script. If you wanted to there, this is the adapt button. So you can add in adapt plugin where the adapt ID is the format. If you've used adapt before, each of the questions has a little code number next to it. So you can add that code in there. And then insert any of those things into the textbook. Overall, pretty powerful, but it's actually, like, I think it looks more intimidating than it really is once you get used to just where to find things and how things look. The editor can be pretty straightforward. Was there anything else fun you wanted to add, Delmar, or are you already away from the computer? I really thought we'd have all these people asking questions, writing their own books. Do you guys have any books? Does anyone want to share a book that they're working on? Ying? Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Justin. Question. So you were showing boxes, and I think when I was editing pages, I was using elements. So there are a lot of overlap between you can add the H5P query, for example, from both a box and the elements, right?
I think you can. I haven't done a lot of the H5P. It probably depends on how it's going to be added. Let's go take a look. So if you are looking at the construction guide, just so if you are not familiar, that little sidebar has the contents. You can go down and take a look at H5P. There are 2 construction guides. I will kind of like throw this out there. If you end up on one that says first edition or one at the top, that's a little older. There's the second edition one. And I'm gonna just click on that. So you'll see this 2E, excuse me, 2E. If you end up with one that says 1E, you can just click on that Remixer University. And you'll see there's the 1E and the 2E. Make sure that you go to the 2E. Just throwing that out there in case people are confused. Because a lot of things like Ying is bringing up, there were other ways to do things. We've kind of made things more streamlined as much as we can. And then the newer ways to do things are always in the 2E. So if we wanted to look at interactive elements, formative activities, and then other ones, I'm thinking formative ones. Typically, there's more than one way to do things. They'll list both and why to do one way versus one way. So this is using the template on a page using an ID number. I can't remember if it ends up just being the same.
That's pretty much how I've been doing
How you
it.
do it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the same thing with the query. It might just be that the query loads the same template box, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
I would stick with that one
If it works. Yeah.
yeah, you have all those great H5Ps that you gave a presentation on earlier this week.
Actually, that's tomorrow at 9 a.m.
I should have plugged it. Yeah, so Ying's
You
giving
still
us
can. You still can.
tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Justin. Yes, we're doing a presentation tomorrow, and we're gonna talk about H5P, and we're gonna talk about adapt as well, because we have question banks.
Yeah, awesome.
And conductor. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I plugged your talk earlier this week when I was talking about yeah, basically all the things that people actually was our success stories slide. I put you on there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, a couple screenshots.
And I love all the owls, by the way.
That was before my time. We both started at the same time, Benny and I.
Yeah, I'll take credit for that.
Yeah.
So Benny is the person who
That's his name.
Benny is the owl.
Benny is the owl. Benny is the name of the owl.
Yes, it's short for Bennett, which was close to benefits.
Okay.
Purpose is to show you the benefits of using LibreTexts. So that's his backstory. That's his history. And yes, Justin and Benny arrived at the same time. So they had a shared blog announcement when they joined the team. So that can be part of Justin's claim to fame going forward. Should he choose to use it, that is.
Hey, me and Benny, I use him on a lot of my slides.
That's right.
Did you manage to get access to the book and everything's working okay?
Sorry, Justin, are you still talking to me?
No, Elaine. I was asking if Elaine. Did you give her access to that book, Jennifer?
Hi, she did, but I got distracted by another chat. I'm listening though.
Okay, no problem. I was going to say if anybody does want to have access to this book and feel free to like look at what I did today or edit things, feel free. I'm gonna Oh wait, this is the wrong book. I'm on. You go to my book. That was the OpenText. There we go. Oh yeah, here's got the different ones. Connector project. Since we're talking about editing. Wait, Jennifer, did you add the name to it?
I did. I'm sorry. I think I stepped away for a second.
Oh, okay. I'll go
I-
ahead and add it right now, Elaine, so you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. There's my face. And then someone in the chat also wants to be added.
Yeah. Jenny, there you are. And this is a book I literally made today for the purposes of playing around with it. So you can go into that conductor project if you're in you have to go through the conductor project because it's not a published book. You go into the conductor project by going to that launch pad, clicking on the conductor icon. You should be able to access the demo textbook. Click on that project link. I didn't show you how to change the name of a page, but I did throw this new chapter on the end with the new page. And there's a couple new pages in here. You can edit the name of that page just by clicking on new page and check on that page. 6. Update that title. You can access all the content. So inside that new page, it's here. You can see there's a couple other new pages. If you're new to this and you just want to practice copying some text over or editing something, feel free to do it right inside of there. And since you are here, you can feel free to even use the threads here to send us a message and practice communicating. I'll get it. Everyone on this call will get it that wants to see it. Will definitely be Jennifer and Delmar. And you can ask questions. I will say, in addition to asking questions there or between whoever's on your group, there's always this blue button in the corner with the question mark. And what that does is it captures the page that you're on, the URL, and then you can submit a support ticket and it will go to literally Jennifer, me, Delmar, and Josh, who was on the call but had to drop off. The 4 of us will go look at that and we'll be the ones to answer it. But it helps us to be able to cover each other when one of us is in the office or not. For instance, I start working a lot earlier than they do because I'm on the East Coast and they're there while I'm eating dinner. So it can help to get things faster.
So Justin, since nobody else is asking questions, I was just gonna ask about the AI co-author.
Yeah.
Because it looks really cool and it looks like it has a lot of potential. You can just ask it to generate summary, generate tags. How much have you played around with it, and do you usually trust the summary?
Every time I've looked at it, I don't know if I would say I trust the summary. Like the one that you saw me generate had like this page is about, I would get rid of that myself, right? Like so I trust it in that the content that it puts out is usually a good starting point. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't change the wording a little bit just to kind of make it in the language that I would use myself. I press the little arrow. Yeah, so this one is our conductor, our a page that came out of our construction guide. So it's going to be probably all AI generated because we probably didn't write them all. So this page below to outline some skills, a quick edit tutorial. And it kind of has like the similar language every single time. So here's one that doesn't. Well, front and back matter won't have it. So it's going to have a little bit of, the AI robotic text to it, but in terms of like really complex. So these don't have a lot, they're just tutorials, but in terms of like the organic one, let's do gases because people know what gases are more than they know what organic chemistry is. It's really, it does a pretty decent job. Let me go with, but this is one that was, I think, copied from the original document. 17th and 18th centuries, gas behavior. Let's see what happens when we generate a new one. starts with this page emphasizes significance of gases. So it's a little bit longer. We can always click and drag this little guy, I think, and make it bigger if it gets to be too long. Yeah, this is not bad.
You did, yeah.
It captured, I think, a little bit more specificity than an author might write for a summary. Like, I don't think I would have put the hot air balloons and tire blowouts inside of a summary, but I would have. It definitely does capture, I think, the basic essence of it. And then,
And
like, yeah.
I was just gonna say, when it comes to tags, is it the more the merrier, because that's how people usually find your
Yeah, I
material?
would say so. We do generate. I think it's 10 at once.
Okay.
So it generates 10, and more the merrier is okay. From what I know, a lot of these also go into like our glossaries and things like that. So building like a repository of where you'd find information. So more of an index. So this can be used for automatic indexing of our books as well. So I would say if you want someone to go look at like an index in a real book and be listed, this page should be a page somebody should go to learn about that. Kind of think about the tagging that way, because that's kind of how the textbook tagging and mentally I've been looking at it. Delmar just popped on, so maybe he has some more insight. This all came out like a week and a half ago, so
Right, and we're going to be continually tweaking with it for a while. We do have instructions on Insight for this, and there should be a button that will be on here very soon to get you to that. But before you go to Insight, can I get back to that screen?
oh, which one?
I just want to emphasize, so part of the problems that one has with tags generating this way is that you may not agree with the tags, which is understandable. So when a tag is generated, it has two icons, one on the left and one on the right. The one on the left will kill that tag. You can kill any of them there. You still have to save it at the very top, but it will kill it, and that's fine. The one on the right will kill that tag for all pages in the book. So if you feel that the topic of chemistry should not be a meta tag for the book because the whole book is chemistry and it's kind of silly to, I mean, every single page should have the word, should have that phrase off of it. It just gets a confirmation to say you're going to be killing that tag for every page. And that's part of the curation effort because it's not perfect. AI is not perfect. So you need an infrastructure in place to facilitate editing and modifying and curating that content. And that's how this is designed. And I think this is a game changer in terms of improving the quality of our books. It's certainly making sure that we are as fully accessible as we can without massive effort, which we should be doing massive effort anyways, but and such. So it's available right now. It works pretty well with even science things, but I have not given it the Krebs cycle to see what it would do if I had something like that. I would expect it to choke on that because no one has an alt text. The alt text for a Krebs cycle is half a page, right? In order to describe it. So anyways,
Probably give it a try then.
yeah. That's my my 2 cents. Justin, you were about to migrate to something before I stopped you.
I was going to. I know I was going to go to the. Oh, I was just going to go to the Insight page to show them where Insight.
Oh yeah. You just go to the question mark. We'll get you there.
Oh yeah, that'll. I was going to go to the support thing, but yeah, you can go straight to the Insight knowledge base.
And then just do a search on.
That's weird. I'm definitely logged in.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that did that. Anyways, and just do a search on co-author.
Yeah.
And that's a how-to, the current state of the how-to. Again, this link will be put into the co-authoring tool. And it will also, this content will probably be pasted into the construction guide because it's a critical component of that. Everything's moving so quickly right now in this, with this infrastructure.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, those summaries are the things that show up here when you have a chapter and then all the different little blurbs to kind of help you to see what the chapter is about. which you've probably seen books on LibreTexts before that don't have anything. They just have a list of all the page titles. So it really does make it a lot more user-friendly in general to have those summaries. So that was I think that was actually the first thing we did with our AI co-author was say, AI should be pretty good at summaries, and we would really love to have more of those because it just makes the experience of navigating a textbook and seeing what's there a lot better, especially for people who are wanting to use other people's books, right? Clicking on every single page to see what's in there is kind of a pain, but being able to like look at the chapters and just kind of see what the chapters are really going to talk about, I think is really a game changer for helping faculty to mix and match and find different books that they want to have.
Yeah, it's definitely better to have a summary of each page at the chapter level. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. More follow-up questions, Ying? So you're working on your book. I heard from.
I am working on my book. It's going very slowly, but it is going. It's fun. It's just time consuming.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
But yeah, now we have new tools, new toys.
That can always give you a little motivation to keep going.
Right.
Jenny got it. Okay. Kylie, you are gone. Okay, good. Well, I think that probably sums it up. If nobody has any other follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to us again with that little question mark in the bottom corner is the easiest way to make sure it gets answered as fast as possible. And then this recording, probably truncated with some of these questions chopped off, will be on YouTube. Or if you need to go revisit it or walk through any of these things on your own.